Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Deep Images. We are continuing our special series of symposiums on the late, great filmmaker David Lynch. This time around, our panel includes myself, Henry Covert, my co hosts, Justin Cotton and C.F. Roberts, and amazing panelists, Bill Mulligan, Elijah Butler, and Rhiannon Clark. But I have a special treat for you before we get into that. After the opening credits, we are going to present a video essay created by Tanya Atomic, a friend of the show, collaborator. We used her music at the end of the show. We interviewed her in episode 200. Check it out, it's great. Definitely an Imagineer Emeritus. She will be talking about her feelings and impressions of Lost Highway, which will wrap up our Lost Highway coverage from last episode. So after she is done, we are going to jump right back into the six-person symposium. It is going to be all about Wild at Heart. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching.
So I first want to say the first time I ever saw Lost Highway, I saw it at the Egyptian Theater in Seattle, and I saw it when it very first came out, and it was either opening night or opening weekend, and I saw it in a packed house full of other people, and then sitting like one seat away from me was this older gentleman who was really enthralled and just wrapped up in the film, and he kept exclaiming, like things would happen and I could see him like shifting in his seat or going like this or going what the, or oh my, or just different exclamation, not overly loud or disturbing other people, but he definitely was wrapped up in the film, and it just really tickled me because I enjoyed how into it he was, and it made it like a really fun experience. Um, and the first time I saw it, I really enjoyed it. I loved all the performances. It's a really creepy film. I didn't fully understand the twist at the end the first time I saw it, um, but I still enjoyed it, and I thought it had there was a lot of like duality going on, and I enjoyed that. I watched it again. I've seen it several times. It's actually one of my favorite David Lynch films. Probably Lost Highway, and I think Lost Highway is similar to Twin Peaks: The Return, and it's similar in the tone and sort of the way the story's told. Um, there is a psychological aspect to this film that is like dream logic, and something I really enjoy and connect with. And it is really creepy. It stars Bill Pullman and Patricia Arquette as a couple. Bill Pullman is a jazz musician, and we don't know, things are happening. We don't know which things are real or not, and what exactly is going on with him. And things just are super creepy. And then, and then Robert Blake is in this as sort of this demon character, or the devil perhaps, and he is really creepy. I feel like there's elements to his real life that came out, I think, shortly after, that kind of lend to that creepy factor, makes you feel even creepier when watching him in this. Um, and I mean, he already kind of has that in cold blood character that he played, which I don't know. When you see him, there's this creep factor, and just the way he is very just icky and yucky and creepy and stuff in this film. It really works well. I don't know how to say what this is about without spoiling anything, so I'm not going to, but I will say that this film takes a turn and changes characters in the middle, and there's Balthazar Getty becomes the main character. Patricia Arquette is still in it. She's a different character. It seems like a different person, and the events that happen are kind of different but parallel to what was going on before. And there's elements of um, dangers, situations, and kind of living on the edge, that kind of thing. And then there's a twist at the end which reveals what the story is about. It's a simple explanation to everything, and yet the way the story is told is really what's important in this particular film, and which gives it that factor, that emotional quality, and that creep factor that make it work so well. There's all these different talents in this film which come together to make it just work so well. There's David Bowie is on the soundtrack, and we see there's this imagery of this road, this dark road with headlights, and you're just driving and driving on the Lost Highway, and it's just so well done. It is about a lost soul who has maybe let themselves fall into their evil side, their bad side, and it is an emotional journey of someone who maybe is trying to run from that, or maybe has regrets, or is on the lost highway trying to lose themselves. Um, it's really well done. It's like I said, all the talent is so great. The actors are so wonderful in this, and the imagery is amazing. And it's a dark. This one is a dark one, and like I said, there's like thriller aspects, dangerous aspects, and a lot of psychological metaphor in here. I don't want to say too much about the plot because it does kind of, there's a lot of metaphor in there, and if I say too much, like I said, it does give it away, which I think is important for you to go on this journey, and everything is revealed to you after you've gone on the journey, because the journey is actually the most important part in this film. Anyway, I recommend it. It's wild. You know, some of the imagery, some of the duality stuff is out there, but it's really well done, and it really got to me, and I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, this is one of my favorites.
All right, so we're going to
Okay.
explore this film called Wild at Heart.
Okay.
Chuck is going to talk to us about what the movie's about.
In a lot of sense, I just revisited this one today. I remember I was really hot for it when it came out. This one Lynch made pretty much on the tails of Twin Peaks. I forget whether Twin Peaks was actually a done deal. I don't think it was at that point.
Season 2 was playing
Yeah.
these last few episodes, which he had nothing to do with except the very last one. Because I know a lot of people got into Wild at Heart because they were into Twin Peaks, and like, oh,
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense because there are a lot of ties.
Yeah.
There are a whole string of movies that kind of had an arc. It's almost like with Blue Velvet, he was kind of coming off the good. He kind of had the bad karma of Doom, but he also had the good graces of the Elephant Man still. And I think that enabled him to just eke out that movie, which kind of brought him to another level. He came into this movie riding off the high of Twin Peaks. And I think basically they threw some money at him and said, man, you did Twin Peaks. You're a maverick. Give us a David Lynch movie. And he made the lynchiest damn thing you've ever seen. And Wild at Heart is almost like, it's like stuffed baked potato of a movie. And he just threw everything but the kitchen sink in it. And it's got, I think, a ton of people from Twin Peaks are in it. Sherilyn Fenn is in it. Cheryl Lee is in it. Just a lot of his Laura Dern's there.
Jack Nance, of course.
Jack Nance, of course, is in there. 80 billion people. It's insane the number of people who were in this. David Patrick Kelly, Grace Zabriskie, of course. Is it Calvin Lockhart?
Yeah, Calvin Lockhart. Nobody talks about him.
Yeah,
He's in a few.
he's in there.
Yeah, he played the electrician in Fire Walk with Me. Like nobody knew his name until the end credits. But after you
Holy
watch,
hell!
but after you watch the return, you realize that that is a very key character in the mythology of it. You know, not
Yeah, and that's a guy with a storied career. Oh God, I'm forgetting the name of the one guy. He was also in he's been in a million things. He was also in Barfly. He never has a big role, but he was in there. But Willem Dafoe is in there. Willem Dafoe chews up
yeah,
scenery. He's like the walking nightmare in that movie.
yeah. He's like
Isabella Rossellini, but the whole movie centers around the relationship between Sailor Ripley, played by the inevitable Nicolas Cage, and Lula Fortune, played by Laura Dern, and they are kind of like the Romeo and Juliet characters. Are having a very rough problem with their relationship because of Lula's mother, Marietta, who is dislikes the relationship for whatever reason. She's played Diane Ladd, who is Laura Dern's real life mother. And she is kind of the conniving villainess at the core of this. And she, at the beginning of the movie, they're at some swanky event. She pays a kid to pull a knife and kill Sailor, which backfires because Sailor kills this kid and he knows exactly what's going on. The kid told him, yeah, Lula just paid me this money to kill you. And he looks up and he kind of points at her and ends up going to prison. Not a super long stretch because he ends up getting out later, and he and Lula, in short order, back together, and they're going on the road and doing the thing. And Sailor's breaking parole, and they go on this wild road trip. And Mariette is infuriated, of course, and she's kind of personified in various points as the Wicked Witch of the West. There are all these Wizard of Oz motifs popping in and out. She gets her boyfriend, who's a detective, kind of a seedy gumshoe named Johnny Farragut, played by Harry Dean Stanton, the great Harry Dean Stanton.
Oh yeah,
and sends him after them, but that's not quite enough. So she's not satisfied. So she gets another person, and it's just kind of a shady mob boss who Lula's father was also kind of in business with. And there's a thought that they killed him. Marietta and this gangster Santos, I think his name is, were collaborated on killing him. Sailor was also working for Santos at that time. And
I want to ask you a quick question. If you don't know, we'll just go ahead. But is the Santos that's in this movie talked about? Is it the same character that's talked about as a mob boss in Perdita Durango?
I don't know if it is. It'd be kind of interesting if it was like a
Because they take place in the same exact universe.
If they were part of, kind of thought if they were involved in the same crime family. The characters in Perdita Durango are very different. The character in Perdita Durango, Santos character, who is also a mobster, he's got a different first name in both movies, but
Maybe he's his brother.
He seems so sleazy and reptilian in the scenes you see him in.
And is the Don Stroud play him?
I think so, yeah.
Don Stroud pretending to be Mexican.
Yeah, it's
Pulls it off.
very creepy. And she also puts him after the situation, and he pulls together a bunch of assassins, and we'll hear more about them later. But he has a little additional thing because he also wants Mariette all to himself, and so he also puts out his own personal hit on Johnny Farragut. And Johnny Farragut, who's kind of a seamy individual, but a nice guy.
Yeah.
But and of course he's going to get chewed up and spat out. But the whole movie basically follows Sailor and Lula on this doomed road trip, which has Marietta pursuing them, and her various agents who are all going down there, and they're all kind of colliding on this traveling excursion of doom and sadness and romance and whatnot. And I'm not going a whole lot further into the plot because I think we'll discuss various plot points, but the whole thing,
Okay.
a lot of people I knew who liked Twin Peaks were maybe interested by all the cameos and everything, but they were also sort of agitated because of the excessive Lynchian kind of lynching in this, and just his going berserk with all the various motifs and inside jokes.
But that's so funny is that way critics talked about that. They're like, okay, this is too much of a Lynch movie. Okay, Lynch only had one feature film that had any Lynch characteristics. One, Blue Velvet before that. I'm not knocking it.
Can I just say something? Because I'm really
Yeah.
passionate about David Lynch movies. Well, he's David Lynch. He's Lynchian. Like, what do you want? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like the audience almost sound like that mother to me. Like, they're kind of witch hunting David Lynch in a similar fashion to the mother in this weird sort of dark sort of way that people who can't actually see people enjoy what they do. You know, David Lynch created his whole life himself.
Yeah.
How many people do that? Not very many people do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are extremely miserable out there.
Yeah.
And they can't see someone making something that they love. They can't see somebody doing something that they love because they don't know what they love, because they don't know themselves. And I think that's why David Lynch was so obsessed with transcendental meditation, because he was like, everybody's so freaking jealous out there. If people started getting into transcendental meditation, perhaps they might, you know, find their own way to happiness and not need to kind of shit on my movies.
In a lot of ways,
really good.
In a lot of ways, this kind of feels like buyer's remorse. You know, it's like, wait, you wanted this, now you've got it. What you gonna do with it?
Yeah, right.
You
know, that's definitely what Twin Peaks happened.
Too much freedom. You gave him too much freedom.
Yeah, can't have that.
He's so rare though, because he's maybe the only filmmaker that I can think of that's truly avant-garde, surrealist, and he actually is a celebrity among all people. They know who he is, at least, if nothing else. And he has enough cachet to where he's been able to spend a lot of money on projects that are completely out of control, weird, and because he's David Lynch, he's
the only one I could think of who was that surrealistic and popular.
Yeah,
to the point where he practically created his own genre, Lynchian. Like
he's on it's in the dictionary, right? He will be.
That's right.
Yeah, he
has to be in the encyclopedia.
I think he's always force of will, man.
Is he the Dali? Is he the Dali of movies?
Of what is it?
The Salvador Dali.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Of
definitely.
Making.
Yeah, he's an American surrealist.
Willem Dafoe's character must have had a huge influence on me when I saw the film in 1991 when it was originally released, because when I rewatched it last Sunday at the cinema, I thought he was in it through the whole film, but it turns out that he's only in it for like the last 40 minutes.
I know.
And then he dies 10 minutes before the end as well. So, but
boy,
he had
he
such
makes
a
an
presence.
impact.
Yeah.
He steals movies. I mean, he stole Existence for me. I liked Existence, but just his 5 minutes as that character Gas, who pretended to help Allegra and then betrayed her. I was burping into my head, man. I don't know why. I was like, Defoe's got the power, man. So go ahead. Go ahead.
It was such a sleazy, sort of slimy character too, wasn't he? He was great in that role. Yeah.
No, he'll do anything. He has done just about anything imaginable kind of film. I mean, one comes along, hey, Willem, we're shooting this thing in our backyard at the hotel. I'll be in it. And it happened. The Florida Project. He got nominated for an Oscar. Why is Lynch in that movie, that cheap movie? And then that got the director popular. Sean Baker, I think, was the guy who did it. But
yep, Sean Baker.
But anyway, yes.
How does William Dafoe get away with it being like all of these absolutely horrible people, but we love him?
But when he plays a nice person, he's like beatific.
He is so scary in what's the name?
Later roles a lot of it.
He is scary in To Live and Die in LA.
Oh yeah. I love that fucking movie. That was one of his breakout parts, definitely.
Yeah.
He was young. When he was young, he was really sleazy looking. Like in Streets of Fire. He looks crazy.
Yeah. His characters enjoy being evil, and you can't help but, it's nice to see someone who has a good sense of confidence in themselves.
Take a big bite out of that role.
They have fun doing what they're doing.
He went the next level with the Green Goblin and Spider-Man. He just went the next level.
The thing is, in Spider-Man, the first movie, I thought he was great. But when he was in the second movie he was in, he stole that fucking movie from Tom Holland. And
No Way Home.
He took that movie and he's like, "Hey Tom, I'm taking your movie, man. I'm Norman Osborn. Fuck you."
He's the only Spidey villain who's actually scarier when he takes the mask off.
Yeah. Incredible.
He is genuinely scary in that.
Yeah, but he nailed it. That's exactly the way it was.
Yeah.
And he stands by Speed 2. Sandra Bullock.
So what any thoughts on Well at Heart? So as we're winding down.
I really enjoyed it. It's more, again, it's not so much for the storyline, it's just more for the atmospherics of the film and the characters in it. And there's lots of sex and violence in it. That red paint everywhere is sort of Peter Jackson-esque with all the red paint in some of those scenes, which is supposed to be blood. And I'd forgotten about this really goofy ending where there's a good witch, Brenda, appears in this dream.
Played by Laura Palmer.
That's right. Yeah. It really is Glinda. That's what's incredible. It's not like, well, you can think it's a vision he has or he's whatever, but I've always taken it as Glinda is coming to him and blessing him. And so Laura Palmer is so iconic. So who could you get to play Glinda in a David Lynch movie but Cheryl Lee? I was so perfect.
Of course. It's like a big of course,
Yeah. It's a weird ending, though. It is a weird ending that happened. That when they beat him up and, he goes to prison, he gets out, then he says, "No, I'm not going to do it." Then they beat him up, and he changes his mind, and he runs at like lightning speed to find her before she drives away.
In a way, drastic counterpoint, by the way, to Barry Gifford's novel, where him just saying, "Yeah, you've done pretty well, Peanut. I'm leaving." That's the end of the book.
So he doesn't come back.
No.
Does he have a kid in the book, or no? He has a kid.
Yes. Yes. He sees the kid, sees her, sees the kid, says, "Well, looks like you done pretty good. I'm gonna go," and he just walks off into the sunset or whatever.
We couldn't have that,
man. But love wins. Love.
Yeah. It's just it's just very much Lynch just goes for straight up romance in that. And just kind of like he sings "Love Me Tender" and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's really a continuation of that lineage of the films based on Starkweather and Fugit. There've been numerous ones, but Woodlands and The Sadist, but Wild at Heart is out there. And then after Wild at Heart, all the Tarantino ones came up.
Yeah, the Natural Born Killers and.
True Romance,
True Romance,
and the thing is, they were heavily influenced by Wild at Heart. But I read recently somebody who, we've talked about it before. I know me and Elijah have talked about this a lot, but during this period where Tarantino was hating all the people who did his movies that he sold, like Natural Born Killers, he was going off about how awful Firewalk with Me was. Now at that time, Tarantino had one film out, Reservoir Dogs. I'm not counting the scripts that he sold. He had one film out, good film, but 2 years later, he still hasn't finished the next one, and he's like, "I hate Firewalk with Me. Lynch just disappeared up his ass. Fuck him." And I found out recently that some of his people who had been his fans or confidants pointed out to him, not so subtly, like, hey, but you're stealing not at heart, wild at heart. Why are you going to knock Lynch if you're stealing his whole fucking movie concept? And he didn't have an answer because he knows everything. He's brilliant. He's a genius. He's God in his mind.
Yep, our God. Yep.
Yeah, he is. But it didn't occur to me though for a long time. Believe it or not, I didn't in my head place Wild at Heart in that lineage of films. But that was really stupid of me because 3 of those films in a row are bracketed by a young blonde girl with a southern accent narrating about her life. Badlands, Wild at Heart, True Romance. I mean, how could you not think they're similar? but anyway, I mean, it's a great archetype. Obviously, it's been played out quite a bit. But so Wild at Heart, I like it. It's not my favorite Lynch. It's my least favorite Lynch.
Yeah, you talked about how it's kind of slipped down in your estimation.
Well, it's just jumped up a little.
Do you know
bit.
why?
Yeah, it's jumped up a little bit now. Watch it again.
Okay.
I had to really kind of ignore Nicolas Cage and try to put myself in the headset of what is Lynch going for to get out of what does he see in Nicolas Cage? And of course, then subsequently, Nicolas Cage took that exact thing and kind of sleptwalked through hundreds of movies playing that same kind of character. And so that's kind of a turnoff to me. But if that was the first movie where he played that exact kind of character, I think it was. I mean, he was hinting at it before, but I think definitely that kind of guy who thinks he's too cool for school. He's like the ultimate, rock star.
The Elvis impression.
It's childish.
Yeah.
I think it's childlike.
Yeah.
I think there's a sort of childlike idea of romance, and he's probably keeping that alive with these two characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when he jumps out of the car, like when she's like looking in at the radio dial or whatever, and kind of going, oh, like somebody gets killed or whatever.
I don't want to hear that, Peanut.
I don't want to hear this.
Yeah.
And then
Music,
she just fucking and they dive out of the car and they.
I bet anything. I would like to see.
That's so cool.
I would have liked to seen that being directed. Like, how much of that was in the script? Like, okay, now David, I've got this idea. Okay, so I'm just gonna go for it. And David's like, okay, guy, and then he's like looking at the script, looking at this guy, and then Nicolas Cage jumps out of the car and starts dancing around. He's like, hold on, don't go that far, Nick. Not yet.
Oh, here's another throwback to you is John Waters' movie Cry Baby.
Oh yeah.
Which maybe nobody's favorite movie, but it's just like
mine.
Well, I stand corrected. And but it's a teen. It's basically kind of like a spoof or a parody of kind of teen musicals from the 50s. And Cage really, in a lot of respects, acts like all those characters in that particular movie. He's kind of like jumping out like he's going to just perform a song or whatever, and just and occasionally does.
You wonder if you knew Sailor and Lula in real life, would you like them? You might really like them, or you might think, God damn, they're annoying. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but
it's kind of like I liked them the first 20 times I crashed on my couch, and then I kind of. It's like I had to get away from them, just like. But they're characters. They're going to have to go forward.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, sure. No, I mean, I like.
It's just that thing of jealousy. No, but you know what I mean. Like when people are so in love with each other. You know what I mean? When they're so in love with each other, and then the bad people nearly kind of like make you feel like you maybe are the mother who doesn't want to see them be happy, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Right. Part of you is the mother,
and that's built into that character Sailor, where he says he's against authority. I dig that. That's what him and Lula just want to drive around and just have fun. They don't know, they're not hurting anybody. They're just driving around, fucking around, having fun out on the open road, and those things happen to them.
And I know that mother. I know that mother, like with the nails and all, and every time she screams and her nails are in claws and stuff.
Yeah, my mom.
But I know that mother.
Yeah. I think a lot of us do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as a woman though. No, but as a woman and as regards to an older woman, like hating on a younger woman's sexuality, that's a thing.
That's
you know what I mean. Where
it is
women
a thing.
hate on on younger women's sexuality. And,
I can't stand being around
I've had
older women
of that.
talk about younger women. I tune
tearing
out
them
completely.
down.
I just
And I've seen younger women do that too. But
but like it's with a mother archetype, it's kind of like putting the thumb on the daughter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a control dynamic.
And it just makes them more rebellious.
That was pretty scary.
Yeah.
Or not even a daughter sometimes, just someone who's having more fun than you, you know?
Yeah.
That's it. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, my parents were long suffering, no doubt.
But it's like ultimately they come through their trials and in the end they're back together and they've got this kid and they maybe go forward and grow.
Well, let me ask you.
Yeah, it's a happy ending.
Or maybe not
but I think they grow when she slams the phone down on the mother and she's like, literally, that's the end of you. We've broken
that's a good
the
feeling.
Witches, when she
slams
the mother down.
Again, you're killing the devil. You're killing the devil once again, like with Frank. You're killing the devil, but you're also maybe killing the devil in your own mind, and that's your triumph,
Exactly. I mean, at that point in time, you can't be leashed to your parents,
and
that's toxic. I mean, especially, but really,
if you look at Industrial Symphony #1, maybe not. Maybe they don't go forward and do well. But I kind of think, in a lot of ways, the way Sailor and Lula kind of are used in that piece of music and are framed. They're kind of like it's almost like taking them like Warner Brothers cartoon characters and, well, this isn't really the same story, but we're going to drop you in this situation and you say these lines.
Are you going to draw Bugs Bunny or?
Yeah, so it's like Bugs Bunny and maybe Bugs Bunny dressed up like a girl bunny or something.
Right. Singing.
Basically, they are almost portrayed as like R-rated Looney Tunes characters.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, they're very elastic. They're both very slim and full of energy, and Yeah,
it's a very over the top kind of.
But and the thing is, it doesn't spare you the grit either. I mean, Lynch is not afraid to show. For a popular director, Lynch is not afraid to show a lot of sex, nudity, and violence
at all.
No, not at all. I mean, and some people I know have thought about David Lynch and they're like, oh, he seems so nice and kind, and it's like, okay, look, watch The Straight Story, you'll love it. Don't watch anything else. You'll hate it. You're not gonna. At some point in the movie, you're gonna go, no, why did he do that?
This guy's mind created Bobby Peru.
I think he. I like the movie. No, I do like the movie. I like it a lot more now, actually, than I have in many years. It's sad I don't own any Lynch movies. I sold all my Lynch DVDs because they would sell really fast when I first got my eBay store. I held on to Inland Empire until it came on Blu-ray, and I still don't have it.
That's a really great one.
Yeah, don't get me started on Inland Empire. We'll save that for next time. We'll keep our ammunition dry. Okay, well, I guess we're going to wrap this one up here. I hope you've enjoyed this session on David Lynch. May he rest in peace. And I've been honored to be here with co-hosts C.F. Roberts and Justin Cotton, an amazing panelist, Bill Mulligan, incredible new panelist, Elijah Butler, and awesome new co-host, Rhiannon Clark. And I'm Henry Covert, so we'll be back soon. Please like and subscribe. Drop a like, hit the notification bell.
Especially if you love Lynch.
Do it for Lynch, not for us.
Yeah,
we do.
Thank you.
And it's true that we cannot see that far behind. If we looked all the way in the past, we'd go blind. In the night, from the stars as they've all lived their lives, and the light that they gave as they burned and then died.